Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Marvel Legends Stiltman Bigafilder Wave, that's definitely the right word, Gwen Stacy, Into the Spider-Verse version, which might be one of the best figures Hasbro's made in a long time. Maybe, we'll see. There's a lot of stuff that's really good about this figure. There are only a few tiny things which aren't great, so I think most of you are going to be impressed. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This figure stands just about 5 3/4 inches to where the top of her head would be, not counting any hair poof, and it's about 14.5 centimeters. Now before we get into the review, let's go ahead and do a question of the day. A lot of people really liked Into the Spider-Verse. Some people said it just felt like a Spider-Man cartoon that was longer and had a bigger budget. How did you guys feel about that movie? Okay, so this is definitely based on the movie. It's very stylized in some respects. Most of the parts are things we've seen some variation of before, if not entirely. Like the legs, for instance, are pinless, so they're new, but they're mostly the same as the old skinny legs, that kind of thing. The old teenager legs, if you want to call them that. The arms, I believe, are old. The torso, I think, is old. But either way, it's like basic like spandex suit parts. So really nothing surprising there. The things that stand out for this figure are the head sculpt and paint. It's very accurate to the source material. Very well done. The tampography they used on the face is excellent. She does have her little eyebrow piercing in there, if you can see that. Hopefully you can see that. The webbing on the hood, it's not perfect, but it's definitely good enough. The line work around here is clean enough. There are no major gripes, no major problems for this figure. The webbing on the arms, yeah, it's not perfect, but it's definitely good enough. It's very well done. The paintwork for the, what are those called? Point shoes? I think that's what they're called. It's all clean. It's all good. There's shading in the hair, even though it's only a little bit in the top. It's just, this is an all-around really well put together figure, and proportionally speaking, it's really well done. And it just suits the source material, I think, as well as Hasbro could do. I don't see how they could have really done anything better here. Maybe the feet are a little big looking, but point shoes do that, so I guess it makes sense. So this figure gets a 9 out of 10. There's not a whole lot they could have done better. I guess technically the hips are a little weird because they flare out so much and then are in a little bit, but that's a small issue. Otherwise, they pretty much nailed this. This is a really good release. Alright, for aesthetics. So let's go ahead and just talk about the accessories. We do have the unmasked head, and then we have the masked head with the up hood. That's how it's going to be. It's made to stay together like that. It's painted well enough inside that it looks good, and I have no real issues with that, so that's fine. We have the 2 fist hands that come out in the package, and then we have 2 whipping hands. We do not have a web accessory. If that matters to you, then you're going to be bummed out, but we don't have it. And then the last accessory is Spider-Ham from the movie, which is probably a better figure than the Spider-Ham that was released as a standalone figure. This one's not as articulated, but it looks infinitely better. So take that for what it's worth. But since you get Spider-Ham, a head and hands, I'm going to give the accessories an 8 out of 10. Thwipping would be good. I mean, an actual web would be good, but I don't know that it's necessary. Does she actually use, like, they all have to use webs, right? Don't they? You guys know more about Spider-Man characters that aren't Spider-Man than I do. Probably. So I'm assuming she uses web and that it would be a good accessory. Okay, so yeah, 8 out of 10, still pretty good. Alright, let's talk about the articulation. The head is very much a lollipop. Not as bad as some things we've seen. I don't know why they won't just make the necks longer. You make the neck go up into the head. You don't need that giant gap. Like, that's a big gap. You get so much movement on top of that peg, which is just unnatural. Like, you're not going to use most of it. Sure, you'll use some of it, but you're not going to use most of it. The hinge does work, but obviously it breaks the neck, so you'll be fine. It's not too high, it just has a big gap. For the shoulders, obviously you have perfectly good range there. Full rotation, no swivel up here. It's down here in the elbow where you have the 90, little bit better than 90-degree bend. It'll be good enough. It's still not as good as it could be, but it will suffice. You have your swivel and your hinge for the fists. How does the diaphragm joint work is a good question. Let's see. It's very minimal, especially going forward. Like, it's good for adjustment posing, but that's about it. For the hips, only about 45 degrees, probably a little shy of that. That's kind of a bummer. Going forward, yeah, it's good enough. Going back, basically 0. Thigh swivel is fine. Double jointed knee is fine. And then we have our shin swivel. If you want that, you have that. It'll do. And for the ankles, let's see. Yep, They go all the way back, which is pretty good, and almost no forward, just a little bit. Ankle rocker is really solid on it though. So not a bad array of accessories, that's not what I'm talking about, of articulation. And it's fine. It's nothing impressive, but it'll definitely get the job done. So I'll give it a 7 out of 10 for articulation. And now it's time for the final verdict. I really don't think Hasbro could have done much better in the way of aesthetics. Articulation definitely could be improved, and accessories are definitely good enough. So if you're into the Spider-Verse stuff, then this one is about as good as you're going to get for this figure, especially value per dollar. Like, even if you have to compare it to something like from Mafex or something like that, for 20 bucks, I think this is going to be a worthy contender. So I'm going to give it a final verdict of 8 out of 10. I couldn't care less about the character or the figure personally, but it is really well done, and I have to let you guys know that so that if you care, you can pick yourself one up. Pick up one yourself. Alright guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, you might consider it. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.